war in my name! Everyone's shouting my name!
Dune, is it a masterpiece in filmmaking? Well, that's what we're looking into. Released on October 22nd, 2021, it was directed by French-Canadian Denis Villeneuve, who was also known for Arrival, Sicario, and Blade Runner 2049. Dune won 6 Oscars, including Best Sound, Visual Effects, and Cinematography. There are a lot of people who regard this movie highly and felt that it was underloved when it was released, but then there were some that had some harsh things to say about it.
Smile, Gurney.
I am smiling.
The definition of masterpiece: a work done with extraordinary skill, especially a supreme intellectual or artistic achievement. Having been on production sets and written a number of award-winning screenplays, I can appreciate firsthand the work that goes into taking words written on a piece of paper and translating them into a visual story. There is nothing easy about it. Regardless of whether you like this movie or not, it's hard to argue Dune's amazing cinematography, set and costume design, lighting, and what I call a genius comprehension of what's inside the camera frame. So is Dune a masterpiece in the art of movie making, or is that going too far? So I had a friend who watched Dune when it first came out, and he became frustrated after only 60 minutes, saying that he felt that the storyline was scattered and confusing. After I told him what I felt about the movie, he watched it again. He appreciated the cinematography and production aspects, but again, the story didn't hook him, and he felt disengaged. Recently, he came over to my place and we watched a very well narrated YouTube video about the Dune universe that gave a quick and efficient overview explaining the houses, who the characters are, and the politics. Then we watched Dune again, and it was a completely different experience for him. He was now enthralled by the story, and the plot elements made sense within the larger Dune universe. He even started reading the books, and I think this is one of the main reasons some people do not appreciate this movie. Author Frank Herbert created a world that is far beyond just a great story. It's a universe that's been thought through so thoroughly that creating a movie out of the books has proven to be a difficult endeavor. I think that for most people, this is the reason that Dune underwhelmed them. It can be frustrating trying to follow a story where the plot feels as though it has holes in it because it requires additional information to understand some of the motivations and cultural elements of the various planetary factions. The Dune universe is highly developed with characters, worlds, societies, and politics that requires a basic understanding of the universe to fully appreciate the movie. The more you know about the lore, the more the story makes sense, and the more you understand and can enjoy the movie. Author Frank Herbert uses eccentric words that don't originate from the English language. He developed a number of distinct languages spoken by each culture and made it a part of who they are. Some words and names may be hard to remember and even pronounce as they use phonetics from various different existing languages. It's a part of the Dune experience, and once you do a small amount of research into the Dune lore to understand the houses, factions, and characters, you may find yourself going down the Dune rabbit hole and becoming hooked on learning more about this story, as it is one of the most immersive universes ever created. Dune is more than just a story and a set of books. This is a thinking man's story premised in thoughts and ideas that mire themselves in science, religion, and philosophy. The movie does a masterful job to visually capture the nuances of each culture. Once you understand some critical elements associated with the lore, things such as character motivations and story concepts line up and make sense within the larger story. The characters are well developed with casting choices that were ideal. Timothée Chalamet was the perfect choice to play Paul Atreides and had excellent chemistry with Zendaya despite having such a short time together on screen. I did not find any deficient performances in the movie, as all of the actors took their roles and immersed themselves into who they were to represent the characters authentically on screen. The screenplay was extremely well written by 3 of the best screenwriters in Hollywood today: Jon Spaihts, Eric Roth, and Denis Villeneuve. Scenes flow from one to the next with dialogue that was efficient and used in a way that complements the visual storytelling. A mistake many movies make is that they talk too much. There's too much dialogue. Movies are a visual medium and require the right balance of visual cues and spoken ones. Also, the exposition was handled extremely well and was wrapped in scenes that also delivered other story elements. A great example is when Paul Atreides is in his room learning about Arrakis. It's a scene designed to be an exposition dump, but it's coupled with an assassination attempt, giving scene tension and moving the story forward. The music has to be given full credit as well, as it was the perfect style and tone that lent itself wonderfully for dramatic accents and increased the tension where it was used and needed. Something that is a breath of fresh air given the ridiculous culture war raging in Hollywood is that Dune is one of the very few movies that gives audiences a mother and son dynamic. Paul Atreides' mother is a Bene Gesserit, who are all women. Bene Gesserits have the ability to choose the sex of the baby if they're pregnant, and they always choose a girl to maintain the female continuance of the order. But Paul's mother chose to have a son for her husband. This setup flies in the face of modern day screenwriting and movie making, as it feels like almost every movie has a young girl who is the secret to everything plot point. It's like Hollywood writers all develop their stories from the same bucket of ideas. I would imagine that a screenwriter with modern tendencies would have found a way to gender swap Paul into Paula. Being a screenwriter myself, I understand how difficult it is to adapt a book into a movie, especially one with the complexities and depth as Dune has. There are an endless number of things that could have gone wrong adapting this story into a screenplay, and then taking the words and giving them life through the art of filmmaking. Past attempts at turning Dune into a movie have been futile at best, until Denis Villeneuve's 2021 version of Dune came to theaters. It's an amazing piece of art born from a literary work considered to be one of the most intricate and expansive as any that have been written. Now, I sat back and genuinely tried to come up with some things that were lacking in this movie, but Dune executes with precision on so many levels that finding a negative is difficult to do. One could argue that the pacing felt sluggish at times, with some suggesting that the movie came across pretentious. Pacing of a screenplay has to allow for emotional ups and downs, where some spots go fast and in some, they slow down to give a good emotional dynamic between the plot points and storyline. There are parts in Dune that may feel a little sluggish, and it's a valid complaint if you've had no or limited exposure to the world of Dune and its lore, which allows a better understanding of the complex dynamics that this story is about. There will always be people who will see things differently and will disagree with the quality of this movie, and that's fine. It's an opinion, and opinions aren't right or wrong. Not every story can appeal to everybody. I would say that if you are a Star Wars fan, Lord of the Rings, or of any other epic format story, you will immerse yourself in Dune if you give yourself a few morsels to chew on. I think that Dune 2021 is one of the best movies to have come out in a very long time, and feel the score of 8 on IMDb does not give this movie full credit. I think that Dune is as close as a movie can come to being a masterpiece. There are very few movies that have the overall quality and artistry as Dune has, and I'm looking forward to part 2 of this saga. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving Dune 2021 a score of 9.5. If you like what you heard, I thank you for watching and invite you to subscribe and join the Poprageous community. And if you didn't like what you heard, that's cool. I thank you all the same, and we'll see you in our next video.